Day one of pre-season testing is in the books. Fog Racing's here to cover it. And it was a pretty interesting day because, surprise, surprise, Fernando Alonso's team broke down within 9 minutes. Red Bull are on top. Mercedes aren't bouncing. Ferrari look alright, and the rest kind of just look thereabouts. Williams got a lot of laps in. They actually looked alright, Williams. So I did predict, I think AlphaTauri are going to finish last. Whether it be down to car performance or just simply the driver lineup ain't good enough. But let's dive into the testing times because, of course, it does take place over like 9 hours. So, a lot of teams got a lot of laps in. And again, you can't really look too much into testing. But I am genuinely surprised that, two things, that Red Bull are that far ahead. Again, it is testing. But, Alonso is less than half a tenth behind Verstappen, which is a surprise to me. But with Aston Martin breaking down early in the day with Drogovic, it doesn't really surprise me that they've, sent Alonso out and they've probably fucking, less fuel for that run to boost their first day up a bit because they didn't get too many laps in. They got, 100 laps in altogether, which is not horrendous, but Red Bull, Verstappen did 157 alone. But yeah, it was Max that led from Alonso. Then you had both Ferraris with 4 tenths back. Lando Norris 6 tenths back. Then you had Mercedes 6 tenths back. Then Albon, Guan Yu Zhou, Russell, Sargent. But the fact Logan Sargent is in the top 10 to me says that Williams has took a step forward. Because there's no way a guy who I don't really rate has stepped into that car. And it is that he's only 1.4 off like the leading pace and beaten a lot of drivers. Like he's beat both Alpine drivers, for example. Like you look at Drogovic, he's 1.7 seconds slower than Alonso. That's a lot. And this guy's only he's only 6 tenths slower than Albon. So I think Williams have took a massive step. That's what I'm taking for day one. Of course, you can get into next week, that's when Bahrain Grand Prix is, and they could maybe crumble, go to shit after all the other cars turn the wick up, so to speak, and take off the sandbags. But if you were to make an early prediction in terms of, what the pecking order is, you would have to go Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin. And then, would you throw Williams in there? You could, but McLaren are up there, of course, with Norris. So yeah, for best of the rest, you'd look at Alfa, Williams, and McLaren. As for the back of the grid, it doesn't look good for Alpine. Both cars 2 seconds off the pace. Piastri and Magnussen are the only two behind them. But again, it is testing. You can't read too much into it or else you'll be there all day. Nick de Vries, he sat 13th, Shinoda 15th, so not exactly spectacular for Aston Martin, but there wasn't an awful lot of reliability issues, if we're being honest. But it was good seeing all the cars out on track. Again, I think a lot of people having issues with the whole carbon design that most cars are going for, and I think you can kind of see it already. Look, there's a Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo side by side, and a lot of people hyping the Alfa Romeo livery up, which I think is a pretty decent livery. But look at it; it just looks so bland for this angle. It's just it looks like a burgundy colour, and then the black all around it, and then the Ferrari just looks so much better for that angle. Bright red. It's not the brightest red they've ever had, but still a bright red, and then the Ferrari logo on the back. But it's going to be interesting to see over these 3 days. George Russell saying that they need more time. You wouldn't give Rafael Nadal 0 fucking training before a French Open, but I think in F1 it is a bit different because you get 20 cars, and we've seen over the years that they could do unlimited testing. It's good when you go into a season into the unknown. I don't really know what he's greeting about. He probably just thought last year he was going to jump into Mercedes. It was going to be the quickest car, and then of course, they had a bit of a rough pre-season last year, so this season we need as many minutes as we can muster, but no today. But no surprise, Max is on top, but I did think they could potentially struggle with the whole wind tunnel thing, but again, it's Max and Red Bull, and they've kind of became inevitable over the past couple of seasons, and I wouldn't bet my money against them. But anyway, till next time, till day 2 recap. Peace.